Wow, it is scary to see how the misconception is that goats in any way can benefit the earth, when goats have been the devastation to human health and the earth for 9,000 years, since they were domesticated. You should never use goats in any landscape, even for brush fire prevention. You should only use trees and plants that protects against fires and are fire retardant. The brush fires have become more frequent and much more destructive because of the introduction of domesticated animals and their destruction of the organic natural habitat. A new study suggests humans played a big role. Author David Wright, an environmental archaeologist at Seoul National University, says that as humans spread west from the Nile River 8,000 years ago, they brought with them sheep, cows and goats that gobbled up, mowed down and trampled over native vegetation. This transformed the landscape and altered the local climate. Goats are the prime suspects, said Wright. I've literally seen a goat eat a brick. They aren't picky eaters at all, and they eat a lot for their size. It wouldn't take many goats on a stressed-out landscape to make a pretty big impact. If hungry, plant-eating mammals already dotted the Sahara, why did domesticated animals play such a transformative role? The answer is that wild animals don't like to spend a lot of time out in the open where they are easy targets for predators. However, livestock are happy to denude a field of grass under the watchful eye of a human guardian. These old-fashioned traditional farming leaders in permaculture preach what is destructive to the earth by saying to use goats to prevent brush fires. It seems to me that again the PC people are the ones who gain from this goat bushfire prevention aid by aiding the PC people's own goats to get fattened up. Yep, fattening up the goats for meat and dairy for free and trying to look like saints. Very, very smart. Look at the goat eating a healthy piece of forest landscape, eating the seeds and preventing nature to do her job. Goats are extremely destructive. Let's change forests into grazing areas for domesticated animals and call it fire protection. It is insane and they make it sound so scientific, just like the same PC experts say, humans are meant to eat meat and eat dairy, even though that is a lie. It is like, as if the PC leaders can somehow justify to have goats, because they are a part of the, what they call sustainable, earth care, people care, and fair share PC design. Australia has been destroyed by domesticated animals since 1788. Humans brought into Australia the domesticated animals and tipped over the balance. Continuing to use domesticated animals will never get back the balance. Only when we stop using them, and we plant trees instead, can we start to get back the balance that these humans and animals have destroyed. A forest is having trees every 8 feet. A dense canopy, but you cannot have that with goats. All domesticated animals produce pollution, and domesticated animals are the culprits to pollution of over 70% and more of global warming. The earth will only thrive and humans be healthy. Humans will only live in harmony and true sustainability when humans stop using domesticated animals. Goats do not protect from anything. Instead, they need humans to protect them, and wildlife will always be displaced by goats and other domesticated animals. And they carry many zoonotic diseases, such as COVID-19. These diseases are extremely dangerous to humans. A ridiculous amount of water is used for cows and goats, etc. One goat needs about 11 liters of water per day. A cow with a body weight of 1,000 pounds needs 75 liters of water a day. Humans need 3 liters only, and instead of using that water for cows, goats, use it for trees and plants, wildlife and green the earth. Also, let us not forget the tremendous benefits of trees because of the fact that the trees make water, make it rain and clean the air and the soil and water in the ground, creates dirt and soil, and helps to prevent the earth from going dry. Trees were and are cut down for domesticated animals. One goat needs 250 square feet to graze. You can grow 250 pounds of vegetables instead, make soil and help prevent global warming. You can have 25 fruit trees and produce approximately 6,000 pounds of fruits in that area. One cow needs 1 acre of land and you only get 490 pounds of meat from a cow of 1,000 pounds. Whereas you can produce instead 60,000 pounds of organic vegetables and, for example, 60,000 apples. And with having trees and vegetables, you can give away the surplus to the poor and starving people, which you can and won't because of the small amount you get of meat and dairy, the meat and dairy that anyway makes humans sick, old, fat and demented. Whereas with growing organic trees and plants and eating organic plant foods only, you help yourself to great health and to save and make the earth truly healthy and sustainable. Goats are contributing majorly to global warming with methane emissions. Also, with having goats and goat's milk and for meat, you need a fridge and freezer. Bad milk and meat can be deadly for humans, whereas you don't need fridges nor freezers for vegetables and fruits. Fridges and freezers were made not for organic plant eaters, but for meat and dairy eaters to store their meat and dairy. The refrigerants are extremely potent and up to 13,850 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Even if you use a cooling system without a fridge, This will never be safe enough to store meat and dairy, and you need a freezer for meat. Cooking is necessary for meat eating, but you can eat all vegetables and fruits raw. That means that electricity, or gas, or wood for cooking could be almost eliminated, if people ate just plant foods. You can even eat rice without cooking but letting just it soak. All cooking methods also distributes to pollution and global warming. Salt is a major contributor to human sicknesses, and it is used mainly to preserve meat. You do not need salt to preserve vegetables and fruits and grains. It's extremely dangerous to eat raw meat, and even drinking raw milk can cause major sickness in people, and we cannot even digest meat and dairy properly. It is scary to see. In this program about goats, the PC preaching by the male-dominant permaculture scientists, 3 men and no women, always only men. It is so amazingly non-sustainable, because it is the men, and their domesticated animals and killing for food and dairy, that has made the earth into a mess of pollution and desertification. Nature is feminine, whereas permaculture is a masculine, old-fashioned and male-chauvinistic institution, where women never had and has a say in anything in PC, and in how the PC works and should work. PC was created by only men, and was and is only run by men, and that is why it is so messed up, contradictive, discriminating, and selfishly greedy. Nature created the trees, the air, the water, and the health and abundance for all humans and living beings. Leave nature with what nature created, and the earth will be healthy. There are 450 million goats. If 4 billion people were doing permaculture, there would be 8 billion goats. Wow, what a great future for the earth. But goats are great for brush fires. WTF, very sad. Wake up, PC people, you can see the facts. The PC leaders make us believe PC is so innocent and good in what they preach, with humans doing PC of helping against global warming, being sustainable, hope and crisis, and blah, blah, blah. Preaching that PC is the solution, when it is absolutely not true. As long as PC promotes goats and other domesticated animals, PC is a failing and destructive design system. And please look at yourself, look at the PC leaders, how bad they look, wrinkled, old, obese and sick, and look at what they, and you are doing, because what they are and you are doing is wrong. Yes, it is absolutely wrong to use goats, and here is some more proof of the devastation goats have on the earth. The Sahara Desert used to be green and lush, then humans showed up. 11,000 years ago, what we know today as the world's largest hot desert would have been unrecognizable. The now desiccated northern strip of Africa was once green and alive, pocked with lakes, rivers, grasslands and even forests. So where did all that water go? Wright said, humans and their goats tipped the balance, kick-starting this dramatic ecological transformation. Wherever the archaeological record showed the presence of pastoralists, humans with their domesticated animals, goats, being particularly hardy ruminants, foraged on the scrub, and goats were especially hard on the soil, because of their sharp hoofs pulverize the protective crust of the soil that is formed by rainfall and that naturally checks wind erosion. And with especially the goats, there was a corresponding change in the types and variety of plants. It was as if, every time humans and their goats hopscotched across the grasslands, they had turned everything to scrub and desert in their wake. Herds of goat exposed ground, that was previously hidden beneath vegetation, with consequences for the local climate. Wright says that overgrazing led to drought. Drought stunted the growth vegetation, which further transformed the landscape, which worsened the drought, in a feedback loop that eventually produced a hot, dry, dusty desert roughly the size of the United States. Wright noted this idea has a historical parallel. Humans transformed the climate in Asia, Australia, and North America through grazing. And the loss of vegetation continues to affect the climate today with goats and other livestock. Wherever humans went, they left scrubland in their wake. Humans don't exist in ecological vacuums, he said. We are a keystone species and, as such, we make massive impacts on the entire ecological complexion of the earth. I believe strongly that the PC prophets are obligated to commence to understand the enormous negative impacts the goats have on the environment and nature and stop the promotion of the goats as being a benefit, when this is not true.